How are you?
Well, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
Well, before we talk about the music, I'd like to go back in time a little bit. Do you remember the first album you fell in love with?
The first album, I think it was. Well, I was very young, but it was ABBA,
Okay.
and it was Arrivals, and I thought it was named Arrivals. I remember.
But what was it about ABBA that you liked that caught your attention?
I just liked the songs, I think. But this was the first album I bought.
Okay.
So even before that, I was listening mostly to my parents' music, which was specifically Diana Ross and Roberta Flack and that kind of stuff, you know. Tamla Motown, American music.
Oh, so not because your dad is a guitarist, so not necessarily jazz guitar music, but soul a lot?
No, not necessarily. No, I wish I could play guitar, but I don't. But I like guitarists, but I didn't. I just grew up listening to music, really, of course.
And so was it expected of you that you picked up an instrument, or was it something you chose to do?
Nobody wanted me to, but we had a piano. So I think I just, my father says I started to play when I was 2.
Okay.
And I just kept playing, but I never studied it. I never learned to play, which is pity. But so I just always was playing by myself. But then I started to play in the marching band, tuba for 8 years. I played timpani and the symphony orchestra, stuff like that. But everything else on the piano.
Well, you say it's a pity that you never had any formal schooling. So why do you think that?
Well, basically because I wanted to read music better. Because there's so much beautiful classical music I would love to been able to play. Now I do classical music. Last year I did like a Bach the Goldberg variations, but it takes me ages to learn it, you know, because I don't read music as good as I wanted to. So I wish I could read music much better.
But you mentioned the other instruments, tuba, for instance. Does it help you now? Looking back, does having gone through that for 8 years help you now?
I think the percussion part, the timpani stuff helps. I mean, sometimes I even I order a timpani and some kind of gong and vibraphone and marimbas and stuff, and that's really fun. I'm not very good, but I love the sounds of it.
Okay. And then I believe, I'm not sure how old you were, but then you were in a punk rock band.
Well, when that was the age of 16.
Okay.
So that's 1980.
And how serious were you with music at that point?
Not very. I mean, I was just doing music by myself, basically, except of this marching band stuff. I was sitting home doing music. I didn't have much friends who did music. So I was just listening to records and trying to play and stuff in my room, you know. So, and then one evening, this rang on my door, and was this punk band who heard I played the organ, so they wanted to join. So that was kind of really just a coincidence, you know. So I didn't decide to be a musician before I was 20. I think just before that I loved it, and I was playing music all the time, but it was only by myself.
Do you remember the moment then when you took that next step, when you thought for yourself, okay, now I'm going to try and pursue this?
It was a gradual thing, but I was waiting to go into the military, and then that didn't happen, and I started to play in a group, in the waiting period, and music just became a bigger and bigger part of my life, and then in the end I decided I want to be a musician. I started to study music at the university, but then I stopped that after just half a year because I really just wanted to play music. So, but my mother, she says that she always knew I was going to be a musician, but I didn't see that maybe before I was 20. I think then I decided to be a musician.
What do you think she saw in you?
Well, she saw that I was so interested in music. I was just always listening to music and then trying to play it and to write it down and to understand music, and I was just very, very occupied with music.
And you mentioned being at home playing by yourself before you got into the band. So, were you writing your own or composing your own music by then?
That's a good question. I think I was, but not like not in a serious way or anything. I was just making music, and I had some ideas, and I wrote them down and stuff. And I even had a little studio where I started to record stuff with some friends, but nothing serious. No, that came later.
When did it come? And because I suppose it's a certain need to express something.
That's a good question. Is it?
Well, maybe it's not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, when I decided to be a musician, it's because my father was a musician, and he said, so he told me you can never live off jazz because I love jazz, right? So you have to just be a good musician, and you can be a session musician. And so I did that for I would say six years. Became a good session musician. I played with all the pop and rock stuff from Norway and in studios, but at the same time I was making my own music in the evenings. I bought a Atari computer, I think in 1984. It was very early. One of the first 5 that came to Norway, I bought it, and that was really I loved that because already at that time I did not have a piano, so I had a synthesizer. And I was really into that, and then I bought this Atari computer with the music software, and I was really into it. And I was sitting at night making all that stuff, and in the daytime I would, do all that kind of normal music and stuff.
But doing all those different type of things, is that kind of what instilled in you that music shouldn't be just one single genre, shouldn't be that you...
Totally. And I think that's, for me at least, it was very important to do all that, even shitty music, because you learn from it, and at least you learn what not to do, and everything is an experience. So for me, I benefited, and I think it's still with me, this interest for all kinds of music. I don't have any, I can't say that, no, that's crap music, or, and so sometimes, when you see people studying music, for example, they're kind of get into this tunnel,
right,
where you kind of sometimes lose perspective of other music or real life, or you just go into this jazz, a tunnel, and you...
So perhaps looking back then, it's maybe good that you never had that very formal education.
Maybe it's good.
Maybe.
I don't know. Of course, compared to classical musicians, they are not that good at improvising as I am. So if you ask a classical musician, just play something, and he would, you get super scared.